Hi, this is Lorraine again, and today I have my friend Neil here who has become an author in the last number of years. And we go back a while, and we've shared some experiences and we're in some classes together and things like that. But I'd first of all like you to just to get to know Neil a little bit. So Neil, can you tell us a little bit about your background, who you are, why you're here?
Well, thanks, Lorraine. Yes, I'm not an established author, a career author. This is an avocation that came upon close to my retirement. My background is actually in business. I was in commercial real estate most of my life. However, prior to that, I did have a background in philosophy, Bachelor of Ed in as a complement to my philosophy and English background. So I have a couple of degrees in those areas, but I went into real estate shortly thereafter upon graduating. And I've been involved in reading and discussion groups. And about 7 years ago, something happened. The lid blew off, and all of the knowledge and all the discussion and all the desire for expression just came pouring out. It's like it had to happen, and I actually had to quit my career gradually over a year or two because the writing just started to come.
That's
And
interesting.
it hasn't stopped. 7 years now, and I've probably got a few more years left to finish this series of 7 books that I'm working on right now.
Very, very interesting. I know most of my audience is very spiritually oriented, so they would probably be interested in exactly what the process was of you getting the idea for the books and all of this.
Well, I didn't really think about writing a novel, and I really didn't have any preconceived ideas as to what I was going to be doing. I just started journaling some ideas. And there's a lead up to this, which is a whole story unto itself. And I have explained that, how it came on one of my blog posts, if anyone's interested. But over a series of a few months of me just writing ideas, I told my muses that this is good stuff, thank you. But I don't think anyone's going to read it. It's too dense. I think we need a little bit of humor. We need some illustrations. And immediately that day or next day, I got an illustration for one of my points. And that illustration kept growing such that it actually became an allegory to the point. In fact, it had several facets to it. And then, totally unexpected and uncontrived, that allegory became somebody's dream. And I found out my protagonist, who I never met before in my mind, came alive. And I was writing a novel about someone's dream. And this someone woke up and things just unfolded from there. Now that's just 7 years ago. And this someone had quite the adventure. He had an adventure where he went into an alternate reality. So these novels are going to be about 2,000 pages of this adventure, actually several adventures.
Right. Maybe
but
you
it
can
all came about without me knowing that I'd be writing a novel.
That's excellent. Can you tell us maybe a hint of the plot of the first one? Don't give it all away, but and do you have the book is there? Do you want to show us what it looks like?
This
So
cover might
called, yeah,
say a lot. You see a figure there climbing up a mountain, and that figure seems to be kind of ghostly. That's because he is an alternate reality. And just to give you a little bit from the first chapter to set it up. Um, he he's climbing to the top of a mountain because, well, actually, he's a philosophy professor out of London, fairly young, 33 years old, and he went to the Andes in Chile to climb because it was winter in London, but summer there. And so it was climbing weather, and he made it near the top, but then he had a fall, and he fell a long way. He broke his neck. Fortuitously, a helicopter happened to come by with the forestry services, saw him, picked him up, picked up his body, ended up back in San Diego, patched him up, and then he was shipped off to London, where he spent the next year. However, he spent that next year in a coma. The beginning of the second chapter in this book is that he's still climbing to the top of the mountain, and he doesn't realize what happened. Now, he's been in a soul sleep for a couple of weeks, but yeah, he manifests his body, his clothes, and so on, and he's climbing, and he meets two individuals at the top. And I won't say too much more, but these two individuals he knows, but he doesn't know he knows them. But they really have his number, and they're telling him why he's not as smart as he thinks he is. They departed. They're on the other side, the other realm, and he's totally materialistic, totally linear, very traditional, orthodox philosopher, and of course they're spiritual, being from Elysium. Now, where did I come up with the name of Elysium? That's Homer's word in the Iliad and in the Odyssey for the departed place of the heroes, and some place in the Aegean Sea. And that was a name that they came up with instead of using the word heaven, because my hero didn't like the name or word heaven. I should back up a little bit and just say that they have a lot of fun with him because he doesn't realize that he's in a spiritual body, and they trick him into teleporting because he's on a ledge and he thinks he can't get off of it on his way down on his descent. Anyway, don't want to get too far ahead on that, but the next number of books have to do with a love story, because eventually he does make it to London, teleporting with them, and he meets his nurse. First woman.
Okay, stop there. Stop there. Because
well, people want to hear about romance.
Well, that's for another story there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's another story. And we do want to carry on here because I know we both have other things to do today. But yeah, the story builds and builds. And Neil, I wanted to talk about a couple other things here in addition to what's in the book, and we'll give the link at the end so that people can find out more if they're interested. But okay. As a spiritual life coach, I'm always interested in the process that people go through, and there's so many different paths on the spiritual journey. Would you say that the process of writing these books has matured you, or that you've opened yourself to new ideas or anything like that?
Well, it was an expression of, I don't know, 45 years of learning, reading, in as much as I gave expression to what was, say, in there, even subliminally. I learned a lot, because those nuggets that I had may not have been developed, but as I was writing, the thoughts took form. And it wasn't just a matter of regurgitating what I knew. Actually, I did learn a lot, and I had to do research too.
Right.
This book has over 300 footnotes, for example.
Right. It's
that's the first book alone.
It's not for the faint of heart in some ways. It's a good story, and there's a lot of depth and wisdom in it. Do you want to share with us maybe some of your sources, like people you studied with, or ideas that have lit up your soul in your
Sure,
journey?
sure. There are 4 books that I've identified on my blog site that influenced the series, and or four sources. One would be A Course in Miracles, which I'm sure most of your audience are familiar with. Course of Love, which I consider to be the sequel to the Course of Miracles, probably had a greater profound or influence, more profound influence. And Swedenborg, Emanuel Swedenborg, was a philosopher, scientist, mystic, sage from the 17th century. And about 25 years ago, I began to study him. Actually, it's probably closer to 30 years now. And I studied him in depth. And basically, he spent the last 30 years of his life back and forth, astral projecting to the other realms, the higher realms. And never called it astral projecting, but yeah, he was in the heavens, and he was also in darker places too. And he wrote about this. Absolutely profound, absolutely profound. I always wanted to know what the other side was like. Well, you get it with him, whether you want to believe it or not. It's very insightful, but it's philosophical as well.
Excellent.
Okay, that's one, or that's 3, I guess. The 4th one would be George Gurdjieff, a Russian philosopher, and through the writings of his student, Peter Uspensky, I was greatly influenced to look at the esoteric side of life. And those Russian philosophers had a lot to say about the ancient traditions going back millennia. So George Gurdjieff, Peter Uspensky, and the numerous books written around that school of esoteric thought were something that gave me another depth of perception after having studied Emanuel Swedenborg. It just came right after, and so I spent several years in that. So
That's great.
with these writings, here I am.
Sure. I just wanted to back up to number 3, Swedenborg, and I'm wondering, well, I know that there have been some modern books out that dealt with life on the other side. They're probably easier reads too. Are there some of them that you remember finding on your own or anything? There was a doctor not long ago that had a near-death experience, and the name of his book eludes me.
Was that Life After Death by
Alexander?
yeah, even, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Or Anita Morjani, her life after death, a terminal cancer patient who recovered almost immediately, coming back from the other side. Yeah, these are more recent books. I wouldn't say that any of them had an influence on me. If anything, they might have reinforced what I already learned from Swedenborg.
Of course, I just wanted to relate it to maybe some things that our other listeners might have read, because not all that many are into Swedenborg, that's for sure.
No, that's old literature, but it's profound. It's probably the most profound. If the listener wants to get into something really profound, Divine Love and Wisdom by Swedenborg is probably the more philosophical, but it's not difficult to understand, but it is profound. So I recommend that.
That is excellent. That is excellent. So I don't know if you're up for answering this question, but I'm wondering, like, what is the ultimate aim of life? What is the purpose that we're here for, according to Neil?
Well, I don't have anything original to say on that, but I do believe that this is an opportunity we have to give expression to who we are, what we came here for, and to develop those qualities. And until such time as we depart this plane of existence, it's a wonderful opportunity to develop our skills, our affections, to develop, to broaden our horizons, to become more of what we are. We're all God essence, and God is experiencing God through us. And that's quite a wonderful thought, to know that we are sons of God, daughters of God, children of God, goddesses, gods, however you want to perceive yourself, but we are of divine essence. And as such, we have capacity way beyond our understanding. And we are to unpackage that. We are to unfold what is. And we can't do it, obviously, in just a few years, be that 100 years or whatever we have on this plane, or 70 and 10, or by good fortune, as it says in the Old Testament, 40, another 10. Whether we are here for 100 years or 200 years, there's always more, and we always will come back for more, but we may not come back on this plane of existence.
Okay.
In fact, I hope we don't, or at least I hope that I can notch it up. And I think we keep notching it up. So
Yeah.
What is our purpose? It's to eternally grow and to expand, because by doing that, God grows and expands, because we are of God. And that's our eternal purpose. It always has been that way, and it always will be that way, because God is infinite. And infinity gives us a lot of room to expand.
It does. You know what? That was perfect. It's a profound, comprehensive statement of including the nature of the universe and why we're here. And I thank you very much for that. So we're going to need to wind down here. So can you tell us the name of your blog in case people want to read more about you, or where they can find the book?
Elysium's Passage. That's how you spell Elysium. Except to get to my blog site, it's just one word: Elysium's Passage, no apostrophe.
Okay.
So www.elysiumspassage.com, and that will take you to my website, and you can go to Amazon for the book, or you can go to my blog, and the rest is there. There's 100 posts now.
Good.
On everything.
Excellent. So I will make sure that I have it written out for people as well when I post the video. Thank you so much. And thank you to our listeners. Now you know an interesting, intelligent, and profound friend that I have, Neil Meyers. Thanks,
Thank you very
Neil,
much, Lorraine.
Yeah. Take care.
It's been a pleasure.